Flower gardens are wonderful ways in which to increase the population of pollinators in your garden. Why are pollinators so important to a vegetable garden? Because some fruits and vegetables, such as strawberries, tomatoes, squash, cannot become fruit or vegetables unless they are helped by pollinators such as insects, butterflies, honeybees, several kinds of bees, and flies, and even predatory wasps. Pollinators are everywhere. You can see them around the flowers, like this predatory wasp that's hanging out on that leaf. There's another one here. That's a predatory wasp. And yes, it will sting you if you mess with it, but if you leave it alone, it'll do its job of pollinating the flowers and eating the bad insects, like aphids. One of the important things to remember about pollinator plants, flowering plants that attract good beneficial insects, is to know what the full size of these plants will be. So it's hard to know where to place these plants and make your pollinator garden beautiful if you don't know what size they will be in the end. So I'm going to point out a few of these pollinator plants that are in your kit that are growing in my garden and let you know what their full size is. So it's early spring. This is called an anise hyssop, and this smells so good. Right now it is about 3 feet tall, and it'll go up to 6 feet. It can go up to 6 or 5 to 6 feet, doubling that size. This here, with these kinds of leaves, these are echinacea, purple coneflower, and they will grow up to be 6 feet as well, 5 to 6 feet. Here's another anise hyssop. Anise hyssops are members of the mint family. They don't spread like mint does, but you know it's a member of the mint family because if you take, anise hyssop, if you take a stalk, you will see that its stalk, let me see if that you get good resolution here, is square in shape. There we go. See how that's a square stalk? Usually very aromatic, and you see how that's, there we go. I'll go a little further. A square stalk, a little bit of mucilage in it, very aromatic. And what else do we notice about it? Its leaves are one on each side. So that's usually an indication that it is a mint. And usually if you look at their leaves, they are fluffy. They have a bit of texture to them. So I'll show you another mint, a chocolate mint, and you'll see the same characteristics there as well. Here's a chocolate mint. Let's take a closer look at it. My camera can't quite zoom. This is an iPad camera, so it also has a square stalk. Of course, it smells like chocolate mint. And does it have a bit of, it's not so wet, this one is, but same kind of texture on the leaves. Same kind of texture on that leaf. And now let's see if the leaves are opposite. Yep, they are opposite, just like the anise hyssop. Now you know how to tell a member of a mint family. This here is a mid-sized calendula plant. It will form its flowers soon. These are tiny seedling calendulas, and you can transplant them at this stage. So these guys won't grow as tall as the echinacea, sunflowers, or anise hyssop. The tallest would be your sunflower, depending on your variety. But this will just go about probably 2 feet maximum, 1 foot. Very floppy flower. Very pretty flower too, calendula. Bear paw, bear paw is what they call them, bear paw kind of leaves. So this is a nasturtium seedling, but a nasturtium is going to be the smallest of all the flowers that are in your pollinator garden. So you can put those up front. Now this pollinator flower is called yarrow. It's also a medicinal pollinator because it's also used in teas and ointments. But you'll see that it doesn't really get much taller than 2 feet. This is about as tall as it will grow, 2 feet tall. So next in height to your calendula, so nasturtiums are smallest, calendula next, and then yarrow. So this is our second layer, which is the soil layer. And I'm just smoothing out and tamping it down, making sure that it's nice and spread out evenly over the area that I want to plant. In your pollinator garden, you may not have the plants, the vegetables yet. You may choose to have them, or you may just choose to have your own pollinator corridor that are just full of flowers close to the rest of your vegetables, but not necessarily interspersed. But this is the plan that we've drawn up. So just smooth out that soil. Now we're putting a layer in of leaf mulch and grass clippings. Okay, so now we are just adding this last layer of soil before I top it off with straw. So same thing as the other layers, pour it in and then smooth and tamp it down. All right, so we talked about space in the garden planner, where you have the smallest elements in the front and the tallest elements, the sunflower, in the back. So what is the smallest element? It's the nasturtiums. The tallest element are the sunflowers, echinaceas here on the side. So what do we want to, what we want to talk about too is considering time in your planting. So we also want to plant in waves, making sure that the earlier flowers bloom and the faster growing flowers are on the ground first. So what are those? Those are the nasturtiums, and then the calendula and the borage. So how do we transplant them? You follow the garden planner template. You poke a hole. Usually I use a dibber. I'm using my scissors as a dibber, but you usually have like some sort of a tool, can be wood, so that we don't damage the roots. This root is already damaged, but there. This one is nicely placed. These ones maybe a little too floppy. Let me get another calendula from your seedling tray. Make sure that the calendula seed flat is watered and that the soil that you're transferring in is watered as well. Make a hole. Make sure not to damage the root, and you try to get as much of the soil of the seedling flat in the root zone of your calendula in as possible. So plant according to how many calendulas we put in that planner. And then you might want to ask, so how do I straw mulch over this? Won't it smother my seedlings? So here's a trick that Dave, my husband, has taught me, is he trims these straws so that they're more manageable and you can get into the spaces around the plants without smothering them. Okay? And there you have it. So, good luck, start your own pollinator garden, and we'll see you inside the garden game.